Hello, everyone. Thank you all for joining us today. All right. Hi, everyone. I'm just letting a few last people in the waiting room here. I think we'll give it maybe one more minute just to see if anyone else is joining us. I hope everyone is having a fantastic day. It is finally under 100 degrees here in the Phoenix area, so it's the best day ever. And thank you all for being here. I appreciate each and every one of you making time to join us for a digital equity conversation today. Let's see here, a couple more people coming in. Give it just a little bit longer here. All right. For folks who haven't joined us yet, we do set up these meetings to the best of our ability so that folks can have the ability to unmute and add their voices to the space if they so choose. We do have quite a lot of folks in the room today, so I also encourage you, if you are so inclined, to introduce yourself in the chat. Everyone should be able to access the chat using the bar down at the bottom, and feel free to give your name and your organization if you would like. And just for the group's awareness, we do record these meetings, but it's really just so that folks who aren't able to join can catch up later. We do try to get the posted recordings onto our website in a timely manner. And thank you all for starting to introduce yourselves in the chat. I appreciate that very much. All right, let's see here. Give it just a couple more minutes, or a minute here, I guess. We still, every time I think everybody's going to be here, then someone else pops in the waiting room. That's how it always happens. But anyway, as folks are joining us, for folks who have just joined, I do encourage you to introduce yourself in the chat if you'd like. It's a great way to connect with folks. I'll share a couple of resources that we've put together to connect outside of the space as well, but feel free to put your name and your association in the chat. By way of introduction, my name is Erin Lorandos, and I am the Digital Equity Program Manager here with the Arizona Commerce Authority. For folks who may not know, the Arizona Commerce Authority is the administering entity for both the infrastructure investment here in the state, so the BEAD program, Broadband Equity Access and Deployment program, as well as the Digital Equity Act. And so getting to folks in our office gets you in front of people running both of those programs. And let's see here, just a couple more people joining us. I have a few updates for the group today. Nothing super different than what you maybe have heard before, but just some information and some reminders about the process. And then we will also have the opportunity to hear about a national opportunity to celebrate digital inclusion. And that'll come up here just a little bit later. All right, and so last time, for anyone who's still just joining us, thank you for being here. I do appreciate you. If you'd like to introduce yourself in the chat, feel free. You also should have the ability to, if you so choose, to have your camera on, and also feel free to unmute yourself and join in the conversation if you would like. We'll have lots of opportunities for questions later on as well. So again, just by way of introduction, my name is Erin. I'm the Digital Equity Program Manager with the Arizona Commerce Authority. And the rest of my team today is actually in out of state at a conference being hosted by NTIA. So I'm all by my onesies over here. So you'll have to be patient with me as I share links and things like that. It might take me a minute more than normal because I'm doing both sides of things, but appreciate your grace. So I did want to provide just a brief update on the process here for digital equity in Arizona. For folks who may not be aware, we did apply back at the end of May for our capacity grant application. This is the state's opportunity to receive the allocation for the digital equity implementation of the plan that we got approved back in April. So we're still working on that process. It's definitely a great opportunity to work directly with the folks at NTIA and make sure that our application is as good as it possibly can be. So what's the word I'm looking for? It's not a surprise that it's taking us this amount of time. It's a good thing. It means that we're going to have a great application when we get it approved. As a reminder, basically, this is the funding that allows us to implement the digital equity plan. So everything always ties back to that document, which is available on our website if you haven't had a chance to review it. Let's see here. Once we do get a little bit further down that process, we'll be able to share a more specific timeline with this group. And of course, we'll share that with our listserv as well. Unfortunately, it's still a little nebulous right now, but as soon as we get that allocation approved, we will be able to share more specifics. We are still hoping for that allocation to be approved later this fall. And so we'll be able to move into the next steps of the process. To that end, just as a reminder, we do plan to run a subgrant program as part of that implementation of the plan. And I want everyone in this group to know that when we are able to move into that process, we'll do our best to give you as much heads up as possible. We will be working on about a 9-month timeline once we get that allocation to be fully make all of our choices on subgrants and all of the projects and programs that we will be using throughout implementation. So we have a little bit of time, but it will move relatively quickly. We're going to do our best not to, do one of those like, oh, the application window opens tomorrow, ready? We're going to give people as much heads up as possible, and there will be opportunities to ask questions about that process and see the application requirements and all of that before the actual application opens as well. And let's see here. As I mentioned, we do anticipate our award to the state probably late in the fall. And so then we will move into the next states at that point. But in the meantime, right now, there is an opportunity available to apply directly to NTIA for funding. This is for the Digital Equity Competitive Grant Program. And those applications are due on the 23rd, which is Monday. So to that end, I wanted to share 2 bits of information. First of all, right when the competitive grant opened, we put together a database, if you will, of potential applicants from the state. So the ACA itself is not eligible to apply for that funding because we're administering the plan and the capacity grant. And so we wanted to try to make a space for folks in the state who are interested in applying to coordinate with each other. And so I'm going to drop a link in the chat right now to where that coordination database lives. This is an opportunity for folks who are interested in applying, or maybe not being a lead applicant, but seeing what else is out there and getting involved with other applications to connect. It's very basic, just contact information. So I do encourage you to use that as a resource and reach out directly to any entity that you might be interested in working with. I also see that as an opportunity, perhaps even past the competitive grant program, to see what sorts of things people are thinking about working on here in the state. So that, in addition to the more broad asset inventory that is included in our digital equity plan, might be a great resource for you to consider different organizations that you might be able to partner with. And I just noticed, thank you, Nicole. Nicole is our federal program officer with NTIA. She's here on the call with us, and she did share information about the competitive grant in the chat as well. And I'm not sure, I haven't asked her this ahead of time, but if she's okay, I'll see if anyone has any questions. I know with it being open right now, there's limited information past what's available online that can be shared. But I'm looking to see, maybe Nicole can give me a high sign if she's okay with me asking officially if there are questions.
Sure, it depends on the question. Yeah.
Totally. But Nicole is here as a resource. If anyone does have any questions that she can answer, I'd be happy to give some space for that here in this conversation. And if not, feel free to utilize the chat, and I'm sure we can catch them up afterwards as well. So the other resource that I wanted to share before we move away from the competitive grant is this opportunity. So the ACA, as I mentioned, we're not directly involved in the competitive grant process at all. We're not an applicant. We don't see these applications officially or anything like that. However, we do have permission from NTIA to yes, Elena, you are correct. The deadline is for the competitive grant is the 23rd at midnight, and that's midnight East Coast time. So just keep that. Yep, thank you. Keep that in mind. With the time difference, that definitely is an important note. So here in Arizona, as I mentioned at the ACA, we're not involved with the competitive process, but we would love to support organizations in the state who are considering applying. And so we do ask that if your entity, your organization is applying and you're interested in a letter of support, please take a look at this form. There's a link I just dropped in the chat. This will allow us to put together a combined letter of support for us to send off to NTIA. Now, it's our understanding that this is definitely not a requirement for entities who are applying or anything like that, and there isn't necessarily a piece of the scoring criteria directly related to whether or not you have a letter of support from the administering entity of the capacity grant. However, of course, we want to support the work that's happening in the state. So what we'll do with the information, anyone who's interested in being a part of that, we will compile those responses and put together a single combined letter of support that we will send directly to NTIA in support of the applications coming from Arizona. Diana, I see your question. Let's see. Oh, it looks like Nicole already grabbed it. So will there be more than one round for the competitive grant? And Nicole shared this in the chat as well. Additional NOFOs will be announced in future fiscal years, only one round for this year. So this grant being open at this time of year, one would anticipate the NOFO around this time next year. And definitely keep your eye on the Broadband USA website or NTIA's portal as well to see those additional NOFOs. So let's see here. I just want to pause momentarily and see if there are any other questions that I may have missed in the chat, or any questions about either that coordination document or the combined letter of support. I don't see anything else in the chat, so feel free to unmute yourself if you do have anything. Okay. All right, so barring any hand raises, I just saw some movement on the screen, but I think it was people adding themselves. So I just want to give you a little bit of a heads up on our future plans for this conversation. Since we're still working through that application approval, and also, no news is good news, kind of, we are going to be taking October off from this space. We will not be hosting a digital equity webinar in October, primarily because, again, we'll likely still be working through the process at that point and won't have anything new to share. And also, our team has a ton of travel in October, and schedules were getting very complicated And not that that's not a reason to not talk to folks, but I'm part of the problem because I'm going to be out of state when we would normally be having our conversation next month. So do feel free to reach out individually, either through our general broadband office email, which is broadband@azcommerce.com, or to me directly, and I'll share my information in the chat here momentarily. I'm happy to have one-off conversations with folks next month as schedules allow, but we won't have an official DE webinar next month. It remains to be determined if we will have one in November. I hope definitely, to make that space if we're able to share updates. But just keep your eye on the webinar listing on our website to see if there's going to be one in November. And then last but not least, my last update I wanted to share with this group before we move on is that the National Digital Inclusion Alliance is hosting its conference here next year. This is the Net Inclusion Conference for folks who haven't heard of that one yet, and I will share a link for that momentarily. And most importantly as well, right now, the submission form. Oh, thank you so much, Elena. See, I should just deputize you as my coworker during this time. I appreciate that. So the link that Elena just shared is to the conference as a whole, the Net Inclusion Conference, and it is going to be hosted here in Arizona in May of 2025. This is super exciting because not only do we get to just have all of these amazing digital inclusion practitioners from across the country and even some international come into Arizona. Most notably, this will be the first time that the Net Inclusion Conference is being hosted on tribal lands. It will be hosted at the Gila River Indian Community here just south of Phoenix. And it will be at the Sheraton at Wild Horse Pass. And if you haven't been to that hotel, it's not just a conference hotel, it is legitimately a resort. So, it'll be a bit of a break for all of us as well, I think, and we'll have some opportunities to connect on a different level and enjoy ourselves even more so than normal. And yes, Elena beat me to the punch. The early bird registration for that conference does run through October. So if you have the funds and are interested in attending, I highly recommend it. I've been to the last two and they're only getting better. And it would be great to see many of the folks in this group there at the conference. From that page, I think you should be able to get to where you can submit submit sessions, but if not, I will definitely share that as well. They've got a form for that might be separate from the actual conference page. But I wanted to just give those brief updates and see if there are any questions that I can answer, or if anyone thought of anything for Nicole. Happy to again make space for those. If not, I would like to officially introduce my brand new coworker. Just kidding. I will hire her for this meeting. Elena Lowry is the Arizona director with Common Sense Media, and I'd like to give her some space to talk about another opportunity that's coming up very shortly to celebrate digital inclusion. So I will pass it off to Elena.
Thanks, Erin. Well, you said you were all alone there, so I couldn't help but not help you. Yeah, so I am also serving on the National Planning Committee for Digital Inclusion Week, which is October 7th through the 11th. And so that's 19 days away, 19 days, 5 hours, 42 minutes. And we are, for those of you that aren't familiar with Digital Inclusion Week, and I don't know how many of you on the call have participated in the past, but it's really an opportunity it's an annual week of awareness, really, of awareness, of recognition, and of celebration about all things digitally inclusive. And so this is something that the NDIA, the National Digital Inclusion Alliance, sort of hosts, or they're the hosting entity of this particular week, and it groups and individuals across the country that host special events. They do social media campaigns, They share their own digital inclusion actions, and then, you know, whatever other activities that they might be doing that week. So last year, there were 503 organizations who took part in Digital Inclusion Week that they know of, because there's also a form that you can fill out that's, and I've got links for all of this that I can share, that you can say that this is what you're doing, this is how many people you're expecting, et cetera, et cetera. It's a very short form that, and then they're putting it all together to kind of show all of the activities that are happening across the country during that week. So in Arizona last year, for example, we had the governor sign a proclamation for Digital Inclusion Week. The mayor of Phoenix signed a proclamation. I know that at the time when we had ACP, that librarians were signing people up for the Affordable Connectivity Program. It's a good opportunity if you're doing a device distribution event to do it during that week. And then just advocates around the country, and many of you really, can show why digital equity matters. And so I have all kinds of links I can share. And then I think, I don't know how much time you wanted me to talk, but you know, there's all kinds of things that you can do, and they don't have to be heavy lifts. You can do anything, like if you're doing a big, say, device giveaway, it'd be great if you could schedule it during that week, and then also kind of promote this idea of digital equity, digital inclusion. It could be, like I said, it could be just something on social media about, maybe you can put together a mini campaign that involves your organization. I see Megan is on the phone, Megan Hammond and Holly. I mean, I don't know if the library is doing anything for that particular week, but oftentimes, excuse me, oftentimes the libraries will be doing something. So I guess I would like to ask, for those on the call, I'm thinking, you know, Megan and Sharika and Michelle, maybe you can give some examples of what's taken place in your community for Digital Inclusion Week, and then we can kind of answer some questions if anybody has any. And I'll put some, Megan, while you're chatting, and then popcorning it over to maybe Sharika, because I'm sure that Sharika has something planned. I can put those links in the chat for everybody.
Thanks, Alana. So for the state library, I think in the past we've promoted things, Digital Inclusion Week through the connectors on the website. And I was talking with Anthony today about a social media series of social media posts that we'll share through that, kind of drawing attention to the digital divide. I'll also be making a public presentation that week at a library about AI technologies, and sharing information about our digital inclusion efforts as well. And I think otherwise we'll mainly be looking for ways to amplify what others are doing and share across the state.
That's awesome. Sharika, do you guys have plans for this year? Sharika, is she there?
Yeah, let me change headsets. Hold on.
Okay.
I got the listening, not the talking one. You can take whoever's question answers.
I was gonna say, I see Mariana's got her hand up. Maybe we can go there first. Okay.
Hey everyone.
She was on the call. There she is. Okay.
I'm here. Yeah, I'm not showing my face right now because I just do not feel great, and I don't want you guys to look at me when I don't feel great. But so AZ Strut has participated in Digital Inclusion Week. This year we're kind of taking an approach that Erin kind of created last year that didn't quite take off, but we're hoping it will take off this year. So we are going to do an art contest and provide tech items to groups or people who want to participate in the tech art contest. And then we're gonna hopefully have those before and after pieces photographed and then put on social media, and a little something about Digital Inclusion Week, and then it'll be a contest. So there'll be prizes awarded. And so it's kind of, remember last year, Erin, you had or maybe it was the year before, the tech pet kit like where you could check out this kit of technology and just like play around with it. So sort of the same idea. So more details will be coming on that. And join up, participate, create some art. It's fun.
Sharika, do you have your new headset on?
Yes, I have. I'm wired now. I prefer the wired versus the wireless. So I had to get back wired, as they would say. So Sharika Jackson, founder, CEO of Future Stars, which is a nonprofit that provides STEM programming and college readiness in the Maryville, Phoenix, South community area, or South Phoenix, Maryville community. And so for that week, we will be having our hands-on STEM program, which will definitely be attracting I think we have like 25 students, but I think we'll also add some digital literacy information for the parents, because we have a huge parent engagement now. Like, so this is our 10th year of doing this program. So parents are actively coming and staying. So being able to have conversations with parents now will be part of it. So that's what we got going on. Thanks.
That's great. And I didn't even say what we were doing. So at Common Sense, we had worked on a multimedia campaign for online safety. And so we are going to be lifting up that campaign with PSAs and some other things during that week. Largely, we're working with the Institute for Digital. I'm never going to get this right, Erin.
Institute for
Digital
Digital Inclusion Acceleration.
Yes. Or IDEA, which Erin Carr-Jordan has been on the call, and they are creating hives across Maricopa County, and these are resource centers where people can come and get not only versed in new technology, but learn how to use the technology that they already have, ask questions, play around with new devices, just have a place to have internet. Yes, Mignon, we know, yes, you're getting a hive in Cochise County, which is fabulous. And so one of our goals at Common Sense, since we're working with IDEA, is to also make sure that week that we have materials available, and that, oh, Anissa, that's right, you're here. So we're going to make sure that we have materials available at all the existing hives and be available if folks have questions. And then our goal is to eventually be able to work with the navigators, just so that they have this additional information about, how to help people stay safe online. So that's kind of what we're doing. So you can see that, like, the activities are very different based on the different organizations. And so the goal is to just really uplift the idea of digital inclusion during that week. And it's a great, if you're already planning to do something with your organization, it's a great opportunity to maybe launch it that week would be a great idea. Try to get some media coverage around it. Some of the links that I shared with everybody are toolkits that include how to deal, how to pitch the media on your event, all kinds of stuff like that. So take a look at that if you're interested. And Anissa, I didn't mean to just skip right over you. Do you want to add anything about the hives and what you guys might be doing?
No worries. Sure. I just wanted to, just to let you know, and thank you for the call out. I put the information tomorrow. We're actually having a ribbon cutting at our largest new hive in Tempe from 4:30 to 6:30 p.m. So if you're out there, please stop by. I know I've met a lot of you. I would love to meet more of you. So we will be there from 4:30 to 6:30. We'll have some food, some good entertainment, and talk a lot about what we're doing in the hive. And we have our first telehealth room, which is super exciting, that we're going to introduce to the public too. So thank you very much. I appreciate it, Alana.
That's all I had, Erin. Just we can answer questions, or people can toss out their ideas.
Yeah, that's awesome. And thank you for sharing the information and everybody who chimed in as well. This is my favorite part about all of this is like just hearing what other people are doing and seeing ways that you can get involved and maybe, you know, do something similar. I just wanted to note actually that directly, I like looking at the list of events for Digital Inclusion Week for ideas too, right? To see like, oh, that's a great idea. That's something I could do with this organization or whatever. You know, we do that a lot. I come from libraries before I joined the ACA team, and you know that's a common thing that we do in libraries is share and not recreate the wheel. So take that as an example as well. Take and look at those lists and see what might work for your organization in the next year. Are there any other folks on this call who'd like to share anything that they might be doing for that, or are thoughts percolating for things that you know might work for your organization now that you've heard a little bit about it? We realize it's coming up very quickly, but you know that isn't to say that it isn't a good idea to do, you know, later on or for next year as well. I'd love to hear if anyone else has any ideas. And if not, of course,
guess
we
not.
can. I was gonna say that's okay too. We can always, you know, if you think of anything or anything like that, feel free to reach out. I realized I never put my information on the chat, but I will do that momentarily here. And you know, if it's something that you're interested in sharing out to the group, I have that ability too to you know to email this group and let folks know that there's something going on. So consider that. I want to see if there are any questions about anything that we've gone over today. As I said, not a ton of new information, not a ton of new updates, but I always like to see everybody and you know have that opportunity to check in. So you know we might be done early today, and that's okay too. But definitely want to give some space if folks do have any questions they'd like to ask or comments to make, I suppose. And if not, that's okay. Real quick, before I do anything else, I promised 3 times. That means I actually have to do it. I'm going to give you my phone or my contact information here in the chat. Do you know how hard it is to type and talk at the same time when it's not the same words? Okay, and then my phone number, and the phone number is good for calls or texts. And if I, you know, can't catch you, then you have an easy way to leave me a message as well. But feel free to reach out at any time. Whether it's on something you're thinking about for this, if you want to check in about anything on the capacity grant or future collaboration there, or if you just want to say hi, I'm cool with that too. So I do really appreciate Elena's willingness to share about Digital Inclusion Week this meeting, and thank you again to everyone else who shared that. Oh, Wayne, I see. Oh, did your hand go up for a question? Yeah. Hi, Wayne.
I'm very new to this.
Um, I heard you start to talk.
Can you hear me?
Yes. Hi.
Hi, I'm new to this type of information, and I just wanted to get an understanding of what the ACA's role is in the funding that's coming. Hopefully, you know, it's are you guys is ACA basically managing the digital equity plan itself, not necessarily any of uh, the funding processes?
That's a really great question. Thank you for asking. So, so we are the administering entity for both grant programs. So the federal dollars come to the ACA and then are used to enact the work that's done by the program. So it's a little bit different for both the programs. So I'm saying that part first. For the infrastructure side, for the BEAD program, we are about ready to release, you know, more information about this, but the money will basically pass through the ACA directly to ISPs, local governments, et cetera, that will build out the infrastructure. For the digital equity side, it's a little bit different because we have the ability to run programs or create, work at a partnership level, as well as we have the ability to provide subgrants. And so that's sort of how I'm looking at that. There are a couple of projects that we plan to do once we have that allocation. Just outside of that, but the majority of the funding will be available for subgrants that directly correlate to the goals and objectives laid out in the plan. So in the digital equity plan, we lay out a number of goals and objectives that we feel will basically help work towards closing the digital divide. It'll help us break down barriers to the covered populations here in Arizona. And in the plan, there is information about strategies that we've developed, key performance indicators. So what data, we want to see an increase or an improvement in, et cetera. And so we're going to be looking for applications of projects or programs, here in the state, brand new or existing, that directly relate to those goals and objectives. So when we open up that subgrant process, we'll be able to share more about that detail. But for right now, looking at those goals and objectives and seeing where your organization's work might align is a way to kind of prepare for a potential subgrant. Then also that other grant that I mentioned, the competitive grant, that is a direct application from an entity here in Arizona to the NTIA for additional funding. It doesn't it doesn't have to be directly in relation to the gap or to the goals and objectives in our plan. It can be outside of that, but there is a whole NOFO notice of funding opportunity with all of those requirements available online. And I'd be happy to go deeper into that if you're interested. But so that one would be a direct application to NTIA. And then the first two that I talked about are operating through the ACA here in Arizona.
Gotcha.
Does that
Thank
answer
you.
your question? Okay,
It does.
fantastic.
Thank you so much.
Awesome. And feel free, like I said, if there are other questions, reach out. Daniel, I see your question. Will you be scheduling similar informative Zoom webinars in the near future for BEAD subgrantees and interested parties? The short answer is yes. We have been hosting similar webinars to this, but related to that other program all along the process so far. And soon, by the end of this month, we will definitely be able to share more information about that side of things as well. The maps for the project areas, as they're referred to, basically the groupings of households that need to be connected to the internet, will be released. And right after that, you'll get information about the ways to get ready to apply. And then also, I would just encourage you for the BEAD side of things to take a look at the documentation that's on our website. All of that process is detailed in those documents as well. But feel free, again, if once you've taken a look, you've got questions, we're happy to help. Jody, will the market sounding exercise occur prior to the pre-qualification? So that's a great question. The market sounding that Jody is referring to is a 45-day window in which people will be able to take a look at those project areas and see, if there are areas that they're looking to serve. The pre-qualification will also happen at the same time or shortly offset, but that information, that timeline will all be released with those maps by the end of this month. And I don't have the exact date for that because, again, we're always kind of waiting for that previous step to happen. But keep your eye on the website for both of those parts. And actually, let me just share the main broadband webpage here so everybody has that. Both programs have pages that you can click into on the left-hand side of the screen off of this main link that will get you to all of those documents that I mentioned, and all of those timelines will be posted on the website as well. And I believe too, not that this meeting is usually about the bead side, but since that is obviously happening very soon, if you did not receive an email from us this week regarding the map release and the market sounding and all of that I just talked about, let me know. Feel free to message me individually. We can forward that on. It was just this week that an email went out to our contact list around beads. So that's another good resource. And if you didn't get it, let me know and I can forward it to you. All right. Well, oh, let's see here. Paul, as far as bead grants for ISPs and fiber projects, are we late on these or we can get, you're not late at all. We are wrapping up all of the phases in which we identify where those projects are going to be, who those people need to be served, etc. There's a lot of documentation that goes over the work that's happened so far, but no, you're not late. I would encourage you to take a look at those documents. That's going to be your best overview of the process and the information that's shared. And if you're not getting those emails, again, you can either let me know directly or sign up through the contact us link at the bottom of any of the pages that I've linked from ACA's page today. That will get you on those lists for the future information as well. But no, you're not late. The next step is probably a great one to come in on if you're looking to apply for any of those project areas, because of the fact that this will be the opportunity to see what those areas are going to look like, so that you can kind of line that up with the interests from your organization to serve those people. And then the application. Well,
yeah.
sorry.
Oh, I
Go
just
ahead.
wanted to kind of underscore that. So the Arizona Commerce Authority has not released their request for proposals, which is the opening of the applications. So that is not available yet. And the pre-registration has also not opened up yet. So you haven't missed out on anything. They're introducing a preliminary project areas, which are not the final ones, as part of that market sounding process, but the official applications haven't been posted yet. That will, though, require a required pre-registration component, which is where applicants provide some basic information as well as some proposed project areas, a little bit about the technology types, and go through some of the criteria before they're able to proceed. That pre-registration period is going to coincide for the entire open window of that first round of applications.
Thank you for correcting me. I appreciate it. All right. So, if there are any other questions, happy to take those now. Otherwise, those were the updates that we wanted to provide today and that information we wanted to share. And we're here if you have other questions after this call, or if there's anything else we can chat about. Great. All right. Well, thanks everyone. I see a couple folks are dropping off, so that's usually my indicator that we're good to go. But I appreciate everyone being here, and thank you for all of the help I got today, because usually I definitely have people with me in the space. So thank you. I appreciate you, and feel free to reach out. And if not, have a wonderful day, and we'll talk to you all soon. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Erin. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, Aaron.
Thank you.
Thanks, Aaron.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay. All right. Unless there's anything from the last few folks that are on, I'm going to go ahead and end the meeting. Thank you for being here, and have a great rest of your day. Bye.